Hey everyone, welcome back to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into a match that honestly nobody saw coming. We're heading back to the Group I final at Gillette Stadium in Foxborough, June 26, 2026. The stage was perfectly set for this massive clash of the Titans, France versus Norway. Two total powerhouses locking horns in a game that literally defied every single pregame expectation. I am so pumped to get into this with you guys because what went down on that pitch, football fans are going to be talking about it for decades. So let's jump right in, because the number 32 pretty much tells you the whole story of how this match completely flipped the script. The entire world tuned in, right? We were all expecting this epic, cinematic duel between Kylian Mbappé and Erling Haaland. We wanted to see two of the absolute greatest goal scorers of our generation trade blows. But instead, Ousmane Dembélé steps up and absolutely steals the show. The guy nets an unbelievable hat-trick in just 32 minutes. While the superstars we all tuned in for kind of took a back seat, Dembélé was out there writing his name straight into the history books. Now, what makes this whole thing even crazier is the pre-match context. Both teams had actually already qualified for the knockouts, so they were really just battling it out for the top spot in Group I. Over in the French camp, head coach Didier Deschamps was completely absent from the touchline. He was recovering from back surgery. So his assistant, Guy Steffen, is calling the shots, and he decides to go strong, starting both Mbappé and Dembélé. But Norway? They went with a massively controversial tactical choice. They actually benched Erling Haaland along with 10 other regular starters, just to rest him. They even put Egil Selvik in goal instead of their usual keeper, Nyland. That huge mismatch in starting lineups basically lit the fuse for all the chaos that followed. France's explosive intent was obvious from the literal first whistle. Just 21 seconds into the match, before fans had even found their seats, Mbappé sprints down the right wing and smashes this ferocious shot straight off the crossbar. 21 seconds. That was quite possibly the fastest shot on target of the whole tournament. Talk about a wake-up call for Norway's backup squad. France was definitely not there to take a rest day. Check out how insanely tightly packed this first half was. We go from the 7th minute to the 32nd minute. And in that tiny window, we get 4 goals. It was just this absolute rapid-fire barrage that completely defined the match. So let's break down exactly how this madness unfolded. It all kicked off in the 7th minute with just brilliant clinical execution. First, Mbappé turns playmaker and releases Dembélé with a perfect pass. Then Dembélé cuts in incredibly sharp from the right wing, drops his shoulder in this classic feint, and shifts the ball right back onto his right foot. Finally, he fires a stunning strike straight across Selvik and into the back of the net. France won, Norway 0. And by the way, this was already Dembélé's second goal of the tournament. He had a crucial stripe earlier against Iraq. The guy was clearly feeling it. Fast forward just a bit to the 20th minute, and Dembélé strikes again, brace secured. He somehow finds this tiny pocket of space at the top of the box, literally surrounded by 3 Norwegian defenders. But this is exactly what makes Dembélé so lethal, his ambidexterity. This time, he unleashes an absolute rocket off his left foot. He goes for the exact same corner as the first goal, and despite a really desperate diving effort from Selvik, it hits the back of the net. The keeper was just completely helpless against that kind of precision. France 2, Norway 0. But the frantic energy? Oh, it didn't stop there. 14 seconds. That's exactly how long it took for Norway to respond after the restart. Just 14 seconds. The Thelo Aasgaard caught the French defense totally sleeping and shockingly pulled a goal right back. It was this lightning-fast response that suddenly made it 2-1. It really proved that even Norway's heavily rotated backup squad had some serious fight left in them. Dembélé, though, he was on an absolute mission. He was not about to let Norway build any sort of momentum. That brings us to the climax of the first half, the 32nd minute. Less than 9 minutes after Norway's goal, Dembélé finds the net yet again. The hat-trick is complete. He pushes France's lead back to 2 goals, making it 3-1 and completely cements his name into World Cup history. You know, the really crucial point here is how we even define what we just watched. Sure, the textbook definition of a hat trick is just scoring 3 goals, but in the context of this specific match, we kind of have to redefine it. Here, a hat trick means banging in 3 goals in the incredibly tight space of just 25 minutes of actual play, basically ending the whole contest before the other team has even had a chance to settle into a rhythm. The sheer historical weight of dismantling a team that fast on the World Cup stage, you really can't overstate it. Moving on to the historical context of all this, to truly grasp the weight of this achievement, look at the illustrious company Dembélé just joined. Scoring a hat-trick for France at a World Cup is incredibly rare. Before Dembélé, only 2 other French players had ever pulled it off. You've got the legendary Just Fontaine, who actually did it twice back in 1958, and of course, Kylian Mbappé, who famously netted 3 in the 2022 final. That's it. That's the entire list. Dembélé is now officially part of an incredibly exclusive club of French football royalty. And when we zoom out to look at global World Cup history, the stats get even more mind-blowing. Now, the absolute record for the fastest World Cup hat-trick belongs to Hungary's Laszlo Kiss. He scored 3 goals in less than 8 minutes against El Salvador back in 1982. But Dembélé's 25-minute scoring span, that is officially recognized as the second fastest World Cup hat-trick of all time. He beat out the previous quickest mark set by Erich Probst of Austria all the way back in 1954. Achieving the second fastest hat-trick in the entire history of the tournament is just a monumental feat. All right, so as we transition into the second half, the frantic, breakneck pace of those first 45 minutes naturally started to slow down a bit. But believe me, the drama was far from over. Because right at the start of the half, in the 49th minute, a massive opportunity suddenly popped up for Norway to claw their way right back into this game and make it a real contest. Let's break down this totally pivotal penalty sequence. In the 49th minute, French defender Theo Hernandez makes a pretty clumsy challenge and trips Aasgaard right inside the box. The referee points straight to the spot. Penalty awarded to Norway. This was it. This was their golden ticket. Strand Larsen steps up to take it, but honestly, his spot kick is remarkably poor. French goalkeeper Maignan leaps into action and makes a massive game-saving block. That save right there, it entirely crushed whatever hopes Norway still had of a comeback. The wind was completely taken out of their sails. From that point on, France just totally controlled the tempo, perfectly managing the game until the very end. And then, the final nail in the coffin arrived deep into stoppage time. In the 94th minute, this beautiful cross comes swinging in from the left side of the pitch, and Désiré Doué rises up to meet it, heading it home to finalize the scoreline at 4-1, a completely dominant performance by the French squad. So what are the ultimate tactical takeaways from this incredible fixture? Well, for France, this performance was a glaring warning to the rest of the world. They proved, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that they don't even need Kylian Mbappé to score in order to be completely lethal. When Dembélé can produce 32 minutes of pure magic like that, they are terrifying. On the other side, for Norway, despite taking a heavy loss, their gamble to rest Haaland and their regulars actually pays off in a way. It means they enter the knockout stages with fresh legs, perfectly rested and ready for their huge round of 32 clash against the Ivory Coast. Which leaves us with one massive, lingering thought to close out this explainer. With Mbappé providing the blinding speed and the assists, and Dembélé proving he can score the second fastest hat-trick in World Cup history, are Mbappé and Dembélé currently the most dangerous attacking duo on the planet? Seriously, is there a defense out there that can actually stop them when they're both clicking on the pitch? Let me know what you guys think. Make sure to like and subscribe so you don't miss out on our next explainer, where we'll be breaking down Senegal's massive 5-0 victory over Iraq. Thanks so much for learning with me today, and I'll see you in the next one.